What's the worst thing a step-parent ever made you do? My stepfather Bill called me and my 7-year-old brother Julian into the living room his first week in our house and told us how things were going to work. You are never allowed to complain in my house. I don't care if you're sick, hurt, or dying. I'm not raising weak little babies who cry every time something hurts, he said, pulling his belt out of his pants. I'm going to hit you now, once each, and you're going to stand there and take it without making a sound. This is your first lesson. He swung and hit Julian across the thigh so hard my brother staggered. Julian's face twisted in pain, but he bit his lip and stayed silent, tears rolling down his cheeks. Good, Bill said. Then he turned to me and did the same thing. I gasped from the shock, and Bill's face went cold. That was a sound. That was a complaint. We're going to keep going until you learn to take it quietly. He hit me 4 more times before I stopped making noise. Mom stood in the doorway watching the whole thing. They need to learn the world isn't kind to weak people, Bill said to her, putting his belt back on. Julian fell off his bike a few weeks later and ripped open his knee down to the bone. I watched him stand up with red running down his shin and walk his bike home smiling. Bill was on the porch. What happened to your knee? He asked. Nothing, Julian replied. Doesn't even hurt. Bill made him do 20 jumping jacks in the driveway to prove it, and my brother was grinning the whole time because the alternative was worse. When I got the flu that winter, I threw up in my bedroom trash can for a week because being sick was complaining. Bill heard me coughing one night and made me sleep outside on the porch so I'd have something real to complain about. When I broke my arm falling out of a tree, I hid it for 5 days. I taught myself to write left-handed and did my chores one-handed and never said a word. A teacher finally noticed when I couldn't pick up my textbook. At the hospital, the doctor asked how I'd hidden a broken arm for 5 days. He's just tough, my mom said quickly. On the drive home, Bill told me I'd ruined everything by being too weak to handle a fracture. That hospital bill is coming out of your future, he said. And since you clearly have energy to waste climbing trees, you're going to scrub every floor in this house tonight with that broken arm. If it hurts, you can think about how you should have been stronger. Julian watched me scrub the kitchen floor all night, crying silently so Bill wouldn't hear. Julian was 12 when I noticed him wincing at dinner, his hand pressed against his stomach. You okay? I whispered. I'm fine, he hissed. Don't say anything. He got worse for 3 days. He stopped eating entirely and he was constantly drenched in sweat, but he insisted he was just hot. On the 4th night, I heard a crash and found him collapsed on his bedroom floor, curled up and shaking. Julian, I'm getting help, I said. He grabbed my wrist weakly. Please don't. Bill will make me prove I'm fine. I can't do jumping jacks right now. I can't. I went to Bill and told him something was seriously wrong with Julian. He didn't look away from the television. He's fine. Tell him to stop being pathetic and walk it off. If I have to get up from this couch because your brother is being dramatic, you're both going to regret it. I went back to Julian's room and called 911 while he begged me to hang up. When the paramedics arrived, Bill blocked the doorway and told them his kids were wasting emergency resources over a stomachache. This is what happens when you raise soft children, he said. They can't handle a little discomfort. One paramedic pushed past him, took a single look at Julian, and rushed to get him to the hospital. Julian's appendix had ruptured 2 days earlier, and the infection had gone septic. The doctors told us they didn't know if he would survive the night. 18 hours later, Julian woke up in the ICU with a woman wearing a hospital badge sitting next to him. Julian, you were very sick for a long time, she said softly. Why didn't you tell anyone you were in pain? I watched my little brother, gray-faced and connected to machines, look past her at Bill standing in the doorway with his arms crossed and his jaw tight. Julian looked back at the woman. Complaining is against the rules, he whispered. Bill got 6 years for felony child abuse after the investigation uncovered everything. At his sentencing, he complained to the judge that his stepchildren were being dramatic. The judge added an extra year for showing no remorse. When they let him out in handcuffs, he was still complaining.